A successful restaurant owner named Rosa keeps expanding her small, beloved CAF into a bigger business, chasing more, until she almost loses the one thing that made it special in the first place: the people around her. Rosa Vidal owned a small CAF on the corner of a quiet street. It was called the Blue Door because of its bright blue door that everyone remembered. The CAF was small, with only 8 tables, but people loved it. They loved the smell of fresh bread in the morning. They loved the warm yellow walls. They loved Rosa, who remembered everyone's name and everyone's favorite drink. Rosa's grandmother had started the CAF many years ago. When she passed it to Rosa, she said one thing: "This is not just a business. It's a home for people who need one." Rosa believed this for a long time. Every morning, she opened the Blue Door herself. She made coffee with her own hands. She talked to every customer, even when the CAF was full. One of her regular customers was an old man named Julian. He came every morning at 7 o'clock. He always sat at the same table by the window. He always ordered the same thing: black coffee and a piece of toast. "How are you today, Julian?" Rosa would ask. "Better, now that I'm here," Julian always said, with a small smile. Rosa's assistant, a young woman named Camilla, worked beside her every day. Camilla had joined 3 years ago, fresh out of school, and she loved the CAF as much as Rosa did. But one day, a man in a grey suit walked into the CAF. He introduced himself as Frank, a business advisor. He said he had heard about the Blue Door's success, and he wanted to help Rosa grow it. "You could open 5 more locations," Frank said, sitting across from Rosa with a folder full of papers. 10 even. "Think about it, Rosa. This CAF is already doing well. Imagine what it could do if it were bigger." Rosa laughed at first. "I don't need bigger," she said. "I like it the way it is." But Frank kept talking. He talked about money. He talked about growth. He talked about how successful people always wanted more, always reached for the next thing at night. Rosa couldn't stop thinking about his words. She looked around her small CAF before closing. 8 tables, 1 Blue Door. It had always been enough. But that night, for the first time, she wondered if it should be more. Rosa met with Frank again the next week. This time, she listened more carefully. Frank showed her numbers on paper: how much money a second location could bring, and a third, and a fourth. He talked about opening in the city center, in the shopping district, even in another town. "You built something people love," Frank said. "Now, you owe it to yourself to make it bigger." Rosa thought about her grandmother's words. This is not just a business. It's a home. But Frank's words were louder that day. Bigger, more, success. Within a year, Rosa opened 3 new CAFs across town. She named them all the Blue Door, with the same blue paint on every entrance. She hired new workers. She bought new equipment. She spent less and less time at the first CAF, the original one, because now she had 4 to manage. Camilla noticed the change first. "You used to know everyone's name here," she said one morning, watching Rosa rush through the CAF with her phone in her hand, talking to a supplier on the other end. "Now I don't think you even remember half our regulars." "I'm just busy, Camilla," Rosa said. This is what growth looks like. But growth kept demanding more. Frank suggested Rosa open 5 more locations the next year. He suggested she stop making coffee herself, and instead hire managers to run each CAF so she could focus on the bigger picture. Rosa agreed. She stopped opening the Blue Door in the mornings. She stopped making coffee with her own hands. She stopped talking to customers, because now she spent her days in meetings, looking at numbers on a screen. One morning, she visited the original CAF, the first Blue Door, for the first time in weeks. She noticed something strange. Julian's table by the window was empty. "Where's Julian?" Rosa asked a new employee, someone she didn't recognize. The young worker shrugged. "I don't know. Some old man used to come here every day. He stopped a few weeks ago." Rosa felt something cold move through her chest. "Did anyone ask why?" The worker shook her head. "We're pretty busy in the mornings now. Big crowds, long lines." Rosa stood there, looking at the empty table by the window, and for the first time in a year, she felt something was very wrong. Rosa went looking for Julian that same day. She asked around the neighborhood, and finally, a shop owner nearby told her Julian had moved to a small apartment a few streets away. After his health had gotten worse, Rosa found the building and knocked on his door. When Julian opened it, he looked thinner than she remembered, and tired. "Rosa," he said, surprised. "It's been a long time." "I'm sorry," Rosa said, her voice shaking a little. I didn't know you stopped coming. Julian smiled. But it wasn't his old smile. The CF changed. He said gently. Long lines. New faces. No one remembered my order anymore. I didn't feel like I belonged there like before. So I just stopped going. Rosa felt tears come to her eyes. I am so sorry, Julian. I got busy. I was trying to grow the business. I understand, Julian said. But can I tell you something, Rosa? Your grandmother used to save me a seat during the hardest years of my life. After my wife passed, that CAF was the only place I wanted to be every morning. Not because of the coffee. Because of her. Because of you. He paused. A bigger business isn't a bad thing. But if it makes you forget the people who needed you. What did you really win? Rosa sat with him for a long time that afternoon, listening, remembering. When she finally left, she didn't go home. She drove straight to her original CAF. She walked in and looked around. The tables were full. The line was long. But something felt empty. Even with all the noise, that night, Rosa called Frank. I want to stop expanding, she said. Frank sounded confused. Rosa, you're growing faster than anyone expected. Why stop now? Because I already had everything that mattered, Rosa said quietly. I just didn't see it. The next morning, Rosa arrived at the original blue door before sunrise. The way she used to. She unlocked the door herself. She turned on the lights herself. She started making coffee with her own hands, the way her grandmother had taught her. Camilla walked in an hour later and stopped in the doorway, surprised. You're back, she said softly. I never should have left. Rosa said. Over the next few months, Rosa made changes. She sold 2 of the new locations to trusted managers who wanted to run their own small businesses. She kept 1 extra CA close by and let Camilla help her manage both, the way partners do. But the original blue door became her home again, just like it had been for her grandmother. Rosa started opening the door herself every morning. She started making coffee with her own hands again. And slowly, she started remembering names again, not because she forced herself to, but because she was finally present enough to notice. One morning, there was a knock at the door before opening time. Rosa looked up and saw Julian standing outside, wearing his old coat, leaning a little on a cane he hadn't needed before. She opened the blue door and smiled. Good morning, Julian. Good morning, Rosa, he said, walking to his old table by the window, like no time had passed at all. Black coffee and toast? Rosa asked. Julian's eyes softened. You remembered. I never should have forgotten, Rosa said. As the months passed, Rosa often thought about the year she had spent chasing more CFS, more money, more success. She didn't regret trying to grow, but she understood now that growth without meaning was just noise. She had almost traded something priceless for something that only looked like progress. Her grandmother had been right all along. The blue door was never really about coffee. It was about the people who walked through it, and the ones who remembered them when they did. Maybe you felt this pull to the quiet voice that says more will finally be enough. More money, more success, more of anything. But sometimes, wanting more costs as the very things that made what we had worth having in the first place. It's not wrong to grow. It's only wrong to grow so fast that we forget who we were growing for. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do isn't reaching further. It's turning back toward what already mattered, before it's too late to remember why.